Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, mostly horror, I've got a little book haul for you. So I've got 11 books to talk about today, 9 of them physical and 2 Kindle books. So I don't normally talk about Kindle books when I do book haul videos. If I did, then my channel would just literally be Kindle book hauls 24/7 because I buy a lot of Kindle books. I buy more Kindle books than I do physical books, if you can believe that. So anyway, I've got a few here to go through with you. So let's go through them. So they are a variety of different things, but as I said at the start, mostly horror. So there's a couple which I'll do first, which I bought specifically to review, and I will be reviewing both of these on the channel, I think. So I do written reviews for a website called Leviathan Libraries, and one of the things I'm doing on that website, along with some of the other contributors, is a series of reviews where we're reviewing books that were nominated for the Stoker Awards through the year. So that the Stoker Awards being the big literary horror awards in the US. So a couple that I've bought for that, both of which I've actually managed to read already because I needed to get them read so I could get the reviews done. So the first one is Blackburn by Bradley Denton. So this was really interesting. This is from 1993, and it's kind of a Dexter before Dexter type book in that it's about a reasonably sympathetic killer. So the hero or protagonist, Jimmy Blackburn, is a psychopath basically, but a psychopath who kills people who the reader may dislike and may sympathise, with his reasons for offing them. So, like people who are cruel to animals and things like that. So it's written in the first person, and you very much... Oh no, it's not written in the first person. It's written in the third person. But you do very much get to see into Jimmy's mind. He takes you... Bradley Denton takes you on a journey with it. So I don't think he wrote that many books, Bradley Denton. I've read at least one other book by him, Rack and Roll, which was a sci-fi novel which I read in my teens. But on the strength of this, he's quite an interesting writer, and it's certainly an interesting concept, and it was fairly well executed as well. Next up then, again for that same series of Stoker reviews, and this one I think the Stoker in, I think it's 1995 or 1996. One of those. Zombie by Joyce Oates. So I haven't read many Joyce Oates books, but I need to read more. So I've read 2 of her novels. So one which was a hard case crime one, and one which is a suspense novel, which I've mentioned on the channel before, Jack of Spades, which is a more recent one, which I really enjoyed. This is I won't go into too much detail because I'm going to review it, but it's a serial killer book written from the perspective of the serial killer, and it has a reputation for being chilling, and having read it I can confirm it is chilling. She really gets in there and makes you believe you are reading the ramblings of someone who's absolutely insane. So yeah, it was a very good book, I have to say. Okay, next up, one that I got specifically for Garb August, as many of my book purchases recently have been. So this is The Searing by John Coyne, which again I've managed to read. I've managed to read already. I read this over the weekend. So this is a book that is famously about killer orgasms. So it's about a small village in the US that gets shaken by a wave of A, mysterious deaths of children, and B, mysterious orgasms of women who live in the village. It's quite a strange book and very, very funny, unintentionally, I think. So yeah, I will be talking about this one in a Countdown to Garb August video, which I think will be up tomorrow. Okay, a bit more trashy vintage horror. So this from 1978 is Death Tour by David J. Michael. So this is a book that it came from the page mentioned on his channel a little while ago, and I really liked the sound of it. So he described it as being a book that appears to be about killer crocodiles, but is actually about something quite different. And he said the kind of twist in it is very, very entertaining. So it appears to be, based on the back, about 5 students who go on a hunt in the sewers to try and find this rogue crocodile or alligator. I never know which is which. Anyway, So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this, and it's a fantastic 80s cover on there as well. So this is so the book came out in 78. This is the 1980 New English Library edition. It proved to be, it's not a book that is that easy to come by. So it came from the page, talked about it probably a month or two ago, and I've had a saved search on eBay since then, and eventually a copy turned up that wasn't horrifically expensive, so I grabbed it, and I'm looking forward to reading that. And then in a similar vein, in that there's a saved eBay search somewhere in this ramble. It's not at all like Death Door, I don't think. I have The Second Suspect by H.E. Lewis, also known as Heather Lewis. So Heather Lewis is an author who wrote, I think, just 3 books, and then very sadly died of suicide. And her so I think her first book is kind of a memoir and about her childhood. Her second book is this one, I think, and then her final book is called Notice. And Notice was featured in One at Played by Visions when he did his Most Disturbing Books collaboration video. Blackacre Doe mentioned that as the most disturbing book he'd read. Alex at the Bookubus has very recently talked about it as well on her channel, so she managed to track down a copy because it's out of print and very difficult to come by. She managed to track down a copy, and she said it was very disturbing but very good. So I wanted to read it, but as I say, it's very difficult to come by. So I bought this instead off eBay, one of Heather Lewis's other books, which sounds similarly themed in that it's about a rich couple who enact terrible kind of sexual violence on underprivileged people, which is, I think, roughly what Notice is about as well. So it sounds good. It's got very good reviews, so I'm looking forward to reading that. In between me buying this and it arriving, a copy of Notice did turn up on eBay in response to the save search that I've made at a reasonable price, not cheap, but reasonable. So I bought that, and that's on its way to me now as well, hopefully. Okay, next then I have a couple of books that have been sent to me for review by the author. So I have showed these in a Small Press Fridays video before. So the author is Robert Royal Poff. So we have Call to the Void, which is a selection of or collection of horror short stories by him, which looks very interesting indeed. And is I said this before, but I do think that's a really fantastic cover. And the back's got a fantastic image on it as well. So very nicely presented for a self-published book. And then also, maybe slightly less up my alley, but I will give it a try and see what it's like. His book, Useless Words for Useless People, which is a collection of poetry. And then I felt like I've been buying loads of not new books, if that makes sense. So most of the books I buy are second-hand, but also most of the books I buy are old. So particularly for Girl Books, I've been buying like shed loads of vintagey stuff, like stuff from the 70s and 80s in particular. So I thought, I really fancy buying something new. So I ordered from Amazon, I'm ashamed to say, a couple of new releases, both of which I'm really looking forward to. So they're both by authors I really like. And in fact, one of the books has a blurb on it from the author of the other book. I don't know, a little bit of synchronicity. Anyway, Billy Summers by Stephen King, so his latest paperback, which a lot of people seem to not like, but I am looking forward to reading because I do like the premise. Although I've just looked inside and the print's really small, which I don't like. But anyway, so a book about a retired hitman, which looks quite fun. And then, because I haven't got enough huge Ken Follett books that I haven't got around to reading yet, having got about 3 or 4 of his historical epics. I've got Never by Ken Follett, which has a review from Stephen King on the front. So this is like a kind of techno-thriller Tom Clancy style book by the sound of it, about the start of the Third World War. Well, I'm not sure if the Third World War actually starts or if it's just about international tensions. But I've really liked the Ken Follett thrillers I've read over the years. And I do like the idea of him doing a big kind of geopolitical monster. So this is over 800 pages long. So yeah, it's for me, this is kind of the perfect summer read. So I've got a bit of time off in August, so I may try and read this in August. And I can't read it in August, can I? Because it's not trash. I will read this in October when I'm able to read books of my choosing again, rather than just trash or Kindle Unlimited books, which is what I'm doing in September. Okay, and then finally 2 Kindle books. So as I said at the start, I don't normally talk about Kindle books I bought on the channel, but these sound fantastic. So I did want to mention them because I'd never heard of them. but other people might be interested in them. So these were pointed out to me by a subscriber, Rick Croucher, and they are 2 volumes of The Best of Manhunt. So Manhunt was a US kind of men's magazine in, I think, kind of the 50s and 60s, which published loads of short crime fiction. And there are 2 of these volumes of short stories, each with like dozens of stories in, that have been published, I think, reasonably recently, so in the last few years. And they've just got a fantastic range of authors in. So they've got stories by Edward Bain, who's probably my favourite writer of all time. Donald D. Westlake, John D. MacDonald. Who else have we got in here? Lawrence Block. David Goodis, so really, really fantastic writers. I love short crime fiction, and it's, as I say, these books have got some phenomenal writers in, so really, really looking forward to digging into both of these. As you can see from the covers, Manhunt was definitely, pushed a bit towards the kind of trashier end of the market, and they're wonderfully kind of pulpy covers. But yeah, really, really looking forward to reading both of these. Okay, time for that point in the video where I pluck a random book from the shelves. Today's book is Demon by Matt Weslowski, which is the 5th book, I think, in the 6 Stories series. So I did a review quite a while ago about the first 6 Stories book, and I've talked about a couple of the other ones in kind of monthly wrap-ups. But yeah, these are fantastic books. So written, so they're kind of on the borderline, I would say, between crime and horror. They're really mystery novels about a podcast, so they're written in the style of a podcast, where the presenter of the podcast looks into like cold cases, so mysteries from the past that have never fully been solved, and interviews 6 people who are involved in some way with the mystery to try and get to the bottom of it. They're absolutely fantastic. This is the only one I've got a physical copy of. The other ones I've all got on my Kindle. But yeah, really, really looking forward to reading this when I get to it. They're thoroughly recommended. If you like mystery fiction and you like a bit of kind of a tinge of horror to it, I thoroughly recommend these. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Let me know, as always, if you read any of the books that I hauled today. Always interested to hear what people think of them, and if there's any in particular you think I should give attention to more quickly than others. But yeah, as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.